You hear about today on the news, and that's called quantitative easing, or QE. QE1, QE2, QE3. What does that mean, and what does it mean to you? First of all, back to our debt and deficit. Remember, we were talking about how important that was to the nation. So the nation is spending $3.5 trillion, brings in 2.2. The difference is $1.3 trillion. Now the question is, where does that money come from? If you are short money when you or your family, let's say that you need to buy a car during the year and it's going to cost $17,000 and you're already spending all your money on your food and your groceries and your rent, you've got to go to the bank and borrow that. Well, the U.S. government has to go to the bank and borrow this too. The problem is that in the last 4 years, since Mr. Obama came to office, the spending has increased, the deficit has increased so much that we can't borrow that much money. China is the next largest economy besides ours, and they could only lend us maybe 0.3, but the 1.0 you can't get by borrowing, so where is that money coming from? That's the quantitative easing. Quantitative easing is a fancy word for printing. The government is printing money. Now, you know when you sit down to play Monopoly that you can take $1,000, $10,000 out. You can buy anything for any amount of money because you haven't had to work for that. It's got no value. The same thing happens when we print money. So if I were to want to buy a bottle of water today, maybe that bottle of water would cost me $1. But with the government printing money, and it has printed now $1 trillion, or 2 years ago, $1 trillion last year, and is going to print almost $1 trillion this year. So what that's doing is saying that the same bottle of water is not going to take $1. It's going to take $1, $2, $3, and maybe $4 because the government is printing money. The money you have in your pocket is worth less than last year. So the government is taking money out of your savings account and out of your payroll check. So if your parents are struggling to make ends meet right now to get you shoes for school, those shoes are going to cost more. The cheeseburgers are going to cost more because of this, the quantitative easing caused by this, the spending.